welcome to Real Talk. I'm your co-host, Pastor Ed King, here with our other co-host,
Eric B.,
and our special guest over the last several weeks.
I'm just here so I don't get fined.
No. Yeah, you know what? I have to be honest with you guys. My heart has been all over the place the last several weeks of talking about this discussion because, like I said, it's such in the wheelhouse of where our heart is and what we want and what we, I really believe, like I said before, none of us would be here if we didn't care about this generation of youth and the things that are happening in our community with our youth. No one person has all the answers. There was no way I would sit up here and say that, hey, come to me, I have all the answers. We don't. But I do believe that we have seen enough and know enough to say, hey, we at least can help us get started in terms of helping our kids. We have way too many. I hear stories about the school system and all that's happening there. I hear stories about, kids that are hanging out at, in the wee hours of the morning and all those type of things. And of course, visiting the youth center and working at a place like the Hope Center for Kids, we get the kids come to us. And so, and it's something that's very passionate to me and that I'm really concerned and really care a lot about. But today episode, our final one, and this is just a beginning for us three. We're going to get together again on other topics and things like that too. And we didn't get to clear up and answer all the things that we brought up here. But I really want us to drive home the positivity of, okay, I know things seem like it's gloom and doom. Everywhere you go, they'll make it say, okay, we're destined for this and destined for that in terms of things not changing. If I believe that there's no hope, then I need to stop believing in God then, because I feel like this is true, that the devil would want us. The reality is this is the reality. This is what we see. But what the devil will try to do to us, he'll try to make us believe. Hopelessness says things will never change, right? So I want to ask Milagro this, and I love Milagro's honesty, and his transparency of where he's come from. When Frank Lucas, hopefully we'll get him, the real Frank Lucas, back on. He kind of says the same thing. But I've been around the Hope Center long enough to where I've seen the evolution of people when they put their trust in God, how their lives change. Mm-hmm. So my question for Milagro, as we move into the final part of this series, is that, okay, when you started going to a place like the Hope Center and you got on the football team, what was happening in your heart that you kept coming back to that?
Like I said, it was a place for us to be a kid. It felt good to not feel like you got responsibilities.
Okay.
For 2 hours, 3 hours.
Okay.
Whatever the case may be. It felt good.
And so, but okay, it felt good. Can I add a word to that?
Yeah.
You felt secure. There was security, and when you were in, I heard guys talk about, man, when I was in the Hope Center, I didn't have to worry about the things that I had to worry about when I leave, because I knew while we were inside, you guys were going to protect us from all the things.
I can't say that neither, because I could, if you want my honest opinion,
yeah,
I saw the Hope Center turn people to gang members too.
We talked about that.
I seen it turn. Yeah. So you only could be secure. Like I was secure because I had one of those names to where I wasn't somebody that was gonna be picked on.
You had developed to that place.
Yeah. So I mean, I can't necessarily say secure. So I just feel like it was a kid place.
It was a kid place. So
you already had. Sorry, clarification. You said one of those names, meaning you had a reputation already.
Right.
Okay.
So now we gonna get mushy, but we don't have to get too mushy. So you make this claim, or you say my life was this and I did whatever. Do you regret that?
No.
You don't.
No.
You don't.
No, I don't. I feel like it made me the man who I am, and I felt like it was necessary at the time.
At the time.
You gonna either be prey, or you gonna be a predator, and I didn't want to be preyed on.
Right, I get that.
Because we all have been preyed on. It didn't feel good. So you're going to be a predator.
So and I'm going to pick on you, man.
Go ahead.
So here you are, 32-year-old Milagro. Mm-hmm. You're standing in front of 25 young men that are incarcerated, ages 12 to 15, and they're looking at you and they're saying, Mr. Milagro, what do I do now? What would you say?
You know what I would tell them? I would say the people in front of you, they're older than you, right? You cannot buy age. You cannot buy experience. And if you want to make it there, bro, listen. But you gotta listen to them too, because even though you look at them a 13-year-old, but they walking around as a grown man. That's why they make a grown man decision. So I just want to hear them, cause we all cry. We all cry.
Let me
We want that.
let me be that voice, and I want you to answer when I give you
All
a
right.
scenario that I've heard over the last 6 months.
Okay.
Milagro, what do they call you, Mr. Milagro? Whatever. I'll say Mr.
Yeah.
I'll say Mr. Spencer.
Yeah.
Mr. Spencer. The judge said I'm looking at 50, and man, I'm scared, man. I don't know if I can do that. That's scenario number one.
Mm-hmm.
What do you say to that?
What I say to that? I say, bro, you know what? Maybe that's the only way you're gonna be alive 50 more years. Somebody save me. Prison save people too.
Right, right.
I say, man, bro, you're not ready. You maybe need that. I'm gonna say, go educate yourself, because you wouldn't do it out on the streets. Some people come out of prison the healthiest they ever been. 6 months in the street, man, you'll be like, yo,
That's true. I've
come
seen
on,
that
because
too.
they drugging and thugging.
Yeah, I've seen
Right.
that.
Now the prison saved them. Them people wouldn't even been alive that long. So I would say 50 years, man. Dang, that's your, because they is doing that, and I think they should change that law. I think you should not be able to give somebody more time than they live. If I'm 17 years old, you shouldn't be able to give me more than 17 years.
You mean if you committed a heinous crime?
I don't care.
Okay.
Because if y'all gonna be
see that.
Christians,
I really see
you
that
gotta
difference.
give them a second chance.
Okay, we're gonna deal with that in the next show. I totally see that different. We'll come back to that.
Yeah.
Scenario number two. Then I'm gonna turn to Eric. And I've never had nobody there for me, and I feel like even being in here now, I'm alone. And it's because of that. It's the reason why I did the things that I did. But now that I'm locked up, I'm still alone.
Well, I'm gonna say, well, first thing, I only hate one type of person, and I know hate is a strong word. Bro, you got to take accountability. Did you burn any of them bridges? Did you burn any of them bridges? Did somebody have a roof over your head? Like, even in whatever situation, I never felt as if, I was in it alone. I may felt like I had to fend for myself, but I mean, somebody put a roof over your head. You laid on the bed. I don't care if you laid on the floor. Somebody did something for you.
But it wasn't my mom and my daddy though.
Yeah, now, like I said, my dad did 19 years. I never lived with my mom. I actually went to Ohio from the hospital. My mom and dad went to prison in the hospital the day I was born. So that okay.
So that's my excuse for doing all the things that I do. Then
No accountability. Because
what is accountability? Who am I
man,
accountable
this the thing. Nobody owes you nothing in life. And that's crazy, because the woman who raised me, the one that you know, that was my aunt. She told me at 12, I mean, I used to be so mad. My mom, my dad wasn't there, woo out. I was just angry. And I would just go off, and that'd be my excuse. And that woman said to me, that I gotta be the person that you love. The person that you know love you has to tell you these things. You can't tell me. He can't tell me. I can't tell. The person that I know love me, it gotta come from love. She said, man, you know what? Your mama don't owe you nothing. Your daddy don't owe you nothing. And she going on her way raising us. She ain't had to do that. She the one that I would expect to throw dirt on their name. But no. She the one told me, don't nobody owe you nothing, boy. And from that day, I don't know if it made it better or worse for me, because I was like, I ain't gonna ask nobody for nothing. I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna get it however I get it, because don't nobody owe me nothing.
Man, these preachers be coming into the jail telling me I need God, telling me I need Jesus in my life. And I heard you started going to church on a regular basis. Why you do that?
I don't think you can force nothing on nobody. I think when it's ready, I think what you do, the most important part is introducing somebody to God. Man, I'm gonna tell you, this is how I know for a fact everybody know God, because we all made a wrong decision, and we said this line. Something told me not to do that. What do you think that something was? But you got to be introduced to God to even know, to be aware that that voice is there. I feel like God is in everybody. It's just we got a choice to accept him or not. Everybody said something told me not to.
So,
What
so,
do you
so
think that voice
not because we're on podcast, I'm gonna go to Eric. You've been coming back for over a year now. What's up with that? What why the need? I mean, I know it personally, but why the need now versus 3 years ago when there was none of that? What's happening in your heart that these other young men need to hear as it pertains to God?
Man, I'm gonna say, especially the ones that's locked up. Say, bro, you tried the wrong way. We see where that gets you. If you fine with that, that's cool. But try the right way and let's see where that gets you. If it gets you the same place, well, you choose from there. But just give it a try. That's all I could tell you.
So then, to your point about that feeling, right, that folks get, that's where studies have shown the most difficult crime that people commit is the first one, because that's when the feeling is the strongest. And of course, the studies don't attribute that to God's grace through the Holy Spirit trying to help people not go down the wrong path. But that first time that you do something wrong is the most difficult one to overcome and ignore. And every other time it gets easier. And that's where the danger of community comes in. Because when you have friends egging you on, and I'm just my experience, I'm not saying yours, that's when people get kind of goaded into doing things that they would normally listen to their voice if they were on their own, right? And then once you do it once, then the next thing, it could be a bigger issue, a bigger crime, a bigger trouble, but the voice is smaller. And that's just psychologically, that's that path. And so that's why, even within the legal system, there are exceptions for, mob action, because they realize that, and I'm not super nerdy, but in the psychology world, I believe that the concept is agency. That is, I am an individual and I have the ability to make a decision. And so mob action is like on the side of individual action, because if a mob gets ginned up to go do something, then each individual can't be held as responsible as if they were doing it on their own. I'm not an attorney, so there's nuance in there, but all those things come into, it's like, man, I've been making wrong decisions. Try something else. But if you make enough wrong decisions, then there's no longer any affect to your spirit, to your soul, because you've numbed yourself and you've just decided, I'm going to continue to make, and right and wrong, yes, I would say from a biblical standpoint, not just a societal one.
I had a young man, he's about 40 years old now. Recently I had a conversation with him. He said that, Pastor King, he said, I started a particular gang. And he said he talked about how his mindset was, how he hated everybody, he hated everything, and destruction was all over him. He said he did things that he most definitely looked back on and can't believe that was his life. And he said he felt the need, all the friends that he was with at the time, he said they were like his family. They would do things for him that his own blood family wouldn't do for him. Fast forward 20 years later, he lived out. A lot of his friends didn't, but he did. He was introduced to Jesus. Christ came into his life, and he had a transformation. And he said this to me. He said, man, you wouldn't believe how I can say popular. What's not popular, but I'll say popular for the sake of the argument. How popular he was with everybody and everything when he was in that lifestyle, to the loneliness that he has to walk through now. When he said, man, when I made a decision to live for God, he said, I lost all my friends, all those people that would call me to do all the stuff that they did. Mm-hmm. He said family members now, they talk about him being weird because he don't respond to things like the way he used to.
Funny part, I know you talk about.
No names. He said them friends that went to jail. He said they call him and it's like, they want him to be the guy that he used to be. Mm-hmm. And he said, man, that life was, he said he was lonely. He didn't have no purpose. He didn't have no direction. And man, he knew, based on the things that he was doing in his life, that if he would have died in that statement, he knew he was going to hell. But he said something that really kind of caught my attention. He said, "But man, I'm at peace with myself now." He said, I don't look over my shoulder every single day. He said, man, God has given me value and God has given me purpose. And so my question for you is this: okay, when you on the first show you alluded to, you know, this is a life. This is the mindset. Right, I agree. But if that mindset never changes, then yeah, that mindset is going to take you either to the grave or to the prison, or continue down that road of destruction. But this part, I almost said the name. I can't believe
You just validated two things I already told y'all. What was the answer? I already gave y'all the solution,
Yeah.
and you just validated.
Said which
He
one?
got older, he aged,
Okay.
and somebody introduced him to
Christ.
Jesus.
All right, now-
I already said that.
All right, now I'm focusing on you on that. Okay, and you ain't got to tell people where you're going, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But why? What happens? What has happened in your heart over the last year? And then we're gonna eventually I want to talk about your marriage that have brought you to that place of now. A lot of people don't know this, but this man is in church every single week, right? A lot of people don't, and I'm not putting your business out there, but I am.
Go ahead.
This
If
man-
you could if you could claim a gang and you're scared to claim God, something wrong with
This
you.
man has a generous heart to where he is. I have watched him see kids within the church need stuff, and he'll go in his own pocket, buy them shoes, do stuff for them. You know, it's like, okay, this ain't the what happened to that tough guy that was. I'm teasing you
but
now.
we do that on the
Yeah,
streets too.
yeah.
Except for you give him a gun, or you give him a pack, or you give
Yeah.
him some weed. Do we do that too?
He said something the other day that I mean just really shattered my heart. He said, "Man, we didn't know how to love." He said, "Nobody introduced us to God."
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
And
Right. And it comes to you get tired of doing it. If you done did the wrong thing, you know the results they get. Try something different. All I'm saying is give it a try. If it don't work for you,
Yeah.
but some people, I mean, you accept if you really gonna be in the street life, you accept what comes with it. So you already accepted death or jail. You already accepted that.
so where does God come in at? Where did God come in at? You were introduced. You were around it at the Hope Center when you were a teenager, but
No, I always been in and out. Like, crazy part is, see, and when it comes down to that, like, and I want to give him a shout out, and I would love to interview this guy or sit with this guy. But I have to give Pastor Barlow, a lot of credit. Like, he was the only one who talked the talk that we understood. And he was doing all our funerals, all that. But he was the one that talked. You know why? We, like I said, we didn't want to look like the pastors. They didn't dress like us. We don't relate to a man in the suit. We don't relate to the teachers. We don't even relate to our parents. But he dressed like us. He broke that Bible down. You say the disciples, he knew our slang. He said, "Oh, disciples come down there and pop trunk." We know what he talking about.
Yeah.
No other pastor about to give it to us like that. Right. He was speaking to us in a way that we could understand. So it was entertaining for us to go to his church. So we just walk in there. Like, I've never been, it was never forced on me to go to church. Mm-hmm. And most of my partners, like I got a partner, I used to love spending the night at the house. He had to go to church. Man, I invited him to church like a month ago. That man said, "Man, I'll never go up in the church." Mind you, and I swear to you, he the one said the most impactful thing to me years ago, and he don't even remember he told me. But he was in Texas, and his church, his family is real big in church in Texas, so he used to have to go on. And he said, "Man, you know what? I asked my cousin, his kid had a cousin named Paul in Texas. He said, man, I asked, man, how you be listening to these old people? Why you?" And he said his cousin looked at him and said, "Man, if this many people believe, how could you think it's a game?" Mm-hmm. And he told me that from Texas. And this same man, he won't even step in the church. But he don't know that. That impacted me. That planted a seed right there. Mm-hmm.
What do you pray about?
What I pray about? You know what, man? My biggest prayer is I'm just trying to find my purpose in life. Like, I still feel as lost as the gang members. I'm not even gonna lie to y'all. I'm sitting up here, I'm trying to, I don't know what my purpose is. And I feel like it's something to do with youth, but it's like, all right, I feel like I'm gonna die without pursuing my purpose because I don't know how to monetize my purpose. And you need money to survive. So I'm gonna die working because I can't walk in my purpose.
How would you complete this sentence? since Jesus has came into Milagros' life, my life will now be blank. Dead air on television and radio.
Different?
Yeah.
Different?
Answer
Yeah.
that.
Let me say it again.
Because-
since Jesus has came into Milagros' life, my life will be blank.
I'm gonna say my life will be impactful, and it may not even not have nothing to do with my life, but it's like you said, some people know me from the streets. I feel like they're gonna see me, and it's gonna impact somebody, and I won't even know.
Yeah.
You sit in the church with people every single week. What has that done for you in terms of how you perceive church to be versus what you see every week?
Perceive church to be, to me, I honestly look at church as therapy. I feel like everybody in there got a testimony, and is therapy, is community, and it let you know that you ain't in it alone. Somebody you, and this may be the only way you cross path with this person.
That's why I go.
Yeah.
Your wife. We would not get out of here
Nah,
without you
man.
talking about your wife. And you recently married. Had the pleasure of being a part of that, officiating that. And I was so proud of you that day, man. Watching you march down the aisle with your lovely wife. But one thing, your wife's brother, ironically, was one of my quarterbacks for one of my football teams.
Sure, a couple people you
Yeah,
ran into,
yeah,
Bobby Jones,
yeah, guys, and
Trail.
But
Yeah.
to see him march down that aisle,
Yeah.
I tell you what, that was probably one of the most fun that I've had at a wedding of
Yeah.
all my years of doing a wedding, because I saw the happy him. You know, I saw the him that people rallied around and supported in a positive way.
Right.
That you know, it was all thumbs up. They wanted him to succeed, and I don't know. All of us got issues that we're working through, but I truly believe he's found him a wife that's a fan of his, that
Right.
loves him and cares about him, and that's a fan of his, and totally goes against all of the stuff that we talked about.
That's what I was gonna ask, because
Yeah.
you know, there's a lot, and you've shared a lot with us in the last few weeks on you know, mindset and other things growing up, but it's like the concept of actually getting married is extremely future focused,
That's right.
and it's selfless. So it's difficult to get married. You can get married without really understanding marriage, but I think with Pastor King's involved, there's at least a decent understanding of what marriage means. But so many folks are trending away from marriage, right? And so to actually decide to get married means I want to share my life with someone, which means I'm going to have a life that lives beyond, very likely, I mean, it's still up to God every single day, but I'm planning beyond today, right? And so is that something that just came out of the time where God started to be able to kind of work with you on, hey man, where do you want your life to be? Or because I'm probably horrible asking questions.
No.
But all the stuff from growing up, like when did you ever think about, man, I want to get married someday? Like when's the first time that you were thinking through that? Like, man, I would be great. My life, I could be married.
You know what,
better
man?
get it right, 'cause
And
now
now that you asked that question about since I met Jesus, man, I would have to say my son. You know what? It was like I said, I consider him a Oreo. It was, I wanted him to give him something that I never had. Like even me moving, I've been in Bellevue for 9-10 years now.
Yeah.
Moved to Bellevue. I wanted him in the best. Like I even had him in private school. I never thought about private school.
Yeah.
It was just, all right. Honestly, I'm kind of selfish too, but even though he's not the most athletic, I didn't want him to be in sports. Because I didn't want him to do anything where I could compare him to my past. I didn't want my past to compare with his.
Yeah.
And then I seen so many people get wrapped up in the sports that once that was over, they didn't have no choice but to go to the street because they felt like failures. So now that tough guy stuff, they've been on this rail, they've been a superstar their whole life. But that's gone. They lost their identity.
Right.
Yeah.
Everybody looked at them as the football player, basketball player. But come on with us. Because all his old partners is over here.
Right.
You know,
Right.
with our remaining 2 minutes, you know what your son looks at when he looks at you? He sees his hero.
Yeah, but all of us do. Your dad's your first Superman, and that's what I'm saying. That now that when I thought about your class, I said that's who I want to make the impact on. I swear to you, if y'all notice, I never brought him to church because I didn't want to push that on him. And I swear to you, at 4 o'clock in the morning, his mom left for work this morning. He said, "Mom, I just got done reading a couple chapters in the Bible." She said, "What?" He said, "What'd you read?" He said, I looked it up. I read Genesis because I heard that's where God started creating the world. I can't make
We
this
can't
up.
make this stuff up.
That's
y'all.
great.
Can't make it up.
That's great.
Love you, man. Proud of you. We're works in progress, all of us. But if you didn't get no answer out of watching us the last several weeks, my hope would be that just because you start here, don't mean you have to end there. And that with God on our side, man, the sky's the limit in terms of where He wants to take us and what we, what we can be in Him. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, I mean, thank you for sharing the last few weeks. It's definitely been, insightful. And I think it's just important that we're all able to hear from each other, right? I'm confident there's questions and other things. I'm sure we left five or
gonna swarm y'all with questions.
I'm sure there's 5 or 6 things that we completely said we're going to come back to that we didn't yet. So we'll do our best. So as Pastor King said on a previous one, at the end, email address will be on there. So please send in your questions. We'll address questions on a future episode, and we'll look to bring it all back together.
He's most definitely coming back. Most definitely coming back.
Absolutely. So
Well,
thank you.
until next week, we walk by faith, not by sight. God bless you. Thank you.
Yes.